25 school year. So we're so glad that y'all could join us. We did just mention we are recording this because some of the folks have let us know they have mandatory meetings today on campus, which is fine too. The first thing I'd like to do is introduce a probably familiar face to many of you. Dr. Jessica McLeese is now with the agency, and she's part of our EdPrep team. So we're very, very happy to have her on board. So feel free to reach out and say hey, and we'll be happy to help you with all the things as they come forward and any questions that you might have as you get into the meat and potatoes of this year. We don't have a formal presentation today. We just kind of wanted to say hi. We do have a few updates that we wanted to share. And we have also some folks joining us from other offices that we will introduce as we move forward here and offer some additional opportunities. But all that being said, I guess, Mary, would you like to do a little introduction or say hey?
Sure. So, well, good morning. And I'm Mary Hipp. I'm the director of the Office of Educator Services here at the South Carolina Department of Education. As Kelly referenced a few minutes ago, we are in a new building as of June 17th this year. It's a beautiful facility. The ribbon cutting was on Monday. So we look forward to having you guys out and greeting you here and letting you take a look around. And it's really nice to be with other offices in the agency. Our office, in my entire tenure in the agency, which is a long time now, I have never worked in the same building as the majority of the agency. Our office has always been in a satellite campus or facility. So it's really exciting to be with other offices, and our division is pretty much all on the second floor of this building. So the collaboration opportunities and just even the greeting folks in the atrium down the hall and just outside the campus is really lovely. So we're glad to be here. One thing I would ask, and Jackie sent this out earlier, for whatever reason, and the U.S. Postal Service is not being the most cooperative with us because the forwarding notice has been in place since early June, but we're still getting mail that's being sent to the Park Lane office, and the post office on Two Notch Road is holding it for a staff member to go out and pick it up twice a week. If you would, we've changed everything on our website. We've changed the address within SC Educator itself. So when your candidates go into my SC Educator portal, the correct mailing address for the agency is there. But if you would touch base with your registrar's offices, if you've not done so already, to make sure that they have the updated address, we will appreciate your doing so. We will send that out. I have to look at a sticky note every time to get the new zip code correct, but we are at 428 Wholesale Lane on the campus of the State Farmers Market over in West Columbia. So I appreciate your help in spreading the word and getting that information out to your registrars as well. Want to share a couple of updates, things over the summer, and then some things I know you may have heard about in the last weeks with some policy updates, not necessarily related to our office, but to the work of the agency. So I think many of you have heard in the news that the agency is now in the process of developing a model cell phone policy that districts will have to implement. That is a requirement in a state proviso that is part of the 24-25 Appropriations Act. Most districts are already implementing a version of a cell phone ban during the instructional day, whether it's full day or just during instruction. But this is already happening out in districts. If you want to take a look at the draft of that model policy, I'm going to share my screen and show you where you can access it. So if you're on the agency website, give me a moment to get you there. If you're on the agency website and you click at State Board and Policy on that top bar, you'll get a link to just State Board of Education. The model policy was heard this past Tuesday and the Policy and Legislative Committee. So it's still sitting there with the agenda for that meeting, and the model policy is that first attachment here. So I would suggest, because you're going to have candidates in schools this fall, some of you already have folks out in the field. They're going to be encountering schools as they implement their current district policy, and then as they navigate what may be in the final version of this model policy. So I would recommend that you mention this to your candidates, make sure they understand what is happening at the state level and how districts are going to have to implement this. And we'll certainly send links out to these as a follow-up to the meeting, so you have access to all of this. But I did want to make you aware, the first reading was on Tuesday, so it will be heard again, likely at the September meeting. And that brings up kind of a second change or something going on. At the Tuesday state board meeting, they actually voted to amend their own rules of governance. So as long as I can remember, state board meetings have been on the second Tuesday of each month moving forward, and to align with publication dates for the state register. Board meetings will now be held on the first Tuesday of each month. So I anticipate this policy coming back for second reading at the September meeting, which is slated for the first Tuesday of September. So again, anything there? Somebody may have a question. Jackie, will you monitor chat for me?
Ma'am. She just asked for the link. I did include that link there in the chat as well.
Perfect. So again, we'll be glad to send this out, but it's a hot topic. It's made a lot. There were more reporters there at the Tuesday meeting than I've seen in a while. So again, I would encourage your interns and your students that are in field experiences to be aware of the development of this policy. The second piece of legislation or policy that you may have heard about. So in this late last year and on into the spring, the state board approved a new regulation, 43170 is how it's numbered now. But it is the uniform procedure for the selection or reconsideration of instructional materials, and specifically referencing, in many cases, supplemental materials. So there's a memo that went out. I'm showing it here, and again, we'll send this out as well. But this regulation is being implemented in all districts statewide. It concerns criteria for the approval of instructional materials, procedures for complaints concerning instructional materials, and then appeal processes and district level requirements. So this again has gotten a fair amount of attention in the last few months. It looked at one point late in the legislative session that this policy or this regulation was not going to move forward during or before session closed in May. But because it was not addressed specifically in a certain procedural change, this regulation actually timed out. So if a regulation goes over from the state board to the General Assembly for review and times out, is not really considered within 120 days, that regulation actually goes into place. And that's what happened with this particular regulation around instructional materials. So again, I think it's important for all of you to be aware of this particular piece of legislation, because your candidates are going to be in schools where they are likely to hear questions and perhaps even concerns about instructional materials. So again, we did want to make you aware of that as well. And then one last thing to share with you. In June, we took some updates to exams to the state board. These will be published on our assessment page within the next week. Not many of these are going to impact your candidates to a great extent, but I did want to bring a couple of these to your attention. So there's a regenerated assessment for family and consumer sciences. That will go into place September 1st, and then we'll discontinue the current assessment next year when ETS officially retires it. So that retirement or discontinuation will happen in 2025. So what we've tried to do over the last couple of years is get into a paradigm or protocol where when we adopt a new assessment, if there's a regenerated assessment, we leave the current exam in place for a year. So for this year, there are two options for candidates seeking certification in family and consumer science. Most individuals that are getting certified in this particular field are coming to us through an alternative route program. There's also a new social studies exam. So last year, this time, we came back here and we said, we've adopted another social studies exam to give your candidates an option. Well, ETS has regenerated that particular exam. So for the current school year, current academic year, your candidates have a choice of one of three social studies exams. So Praxis 5581 is the regenerated exam that's going to replace both 5081. And we believe from guidance from ETS that 5086 is likely to be discontinued next year as well. Primary differences in these three assessments, 5581 and 5081, are only selected response questions, or only contain those. 5086 has both selected response and constructed response questions. Costs a bit more because of that, and the turnaround time on getting a score back is a little longer on 5086. So for this year, three options. A year from now, 5081 and 5086 will no longer be available. So that's a significant change for your folks. Music, similar to what we did last year with art, we have adopted another exam as an option in music. So Praxis 5113 is now available to your candidates. The current exam remains in place. That's 5114. Again, the primary difference in these two assessments is simply the type of question. 5113 only selected response questions, slightly less expensive for candidates, and there's a quicker turnaround time on getting a score back. So that test is available typically more often than 5114. So do want to make you aware of that your music candidates now have a choice of either one of those assessments. We have a new exam for industrial technology education. We are likely to actually reterm or rename that certification field to technology and engineering education later this year. And finally, we'll discontinue the current exam for that. That's a regenerated assessment. So fewer exams that we're having to grapple with changes to this year in terms of regenerated exams. But I do want to put it on your radar that the elementary exams are being revised with ETS during the course of this academic year. So we will certainly be reaching out to some of you to participate in opportunities with ETS to inform changes to those exams. With the change in the state board schedule, we had planned on taking 2 reading exams to the board in September for adding the Read to Succeed literacy teacher endorsement for in-service teachers. But because of the change in the schedule, we will not do that until October. So we're moving towards being in compliance with provisions in the revised Read to Succeed Act. Just know that these 2 tests will eventually be the tests that your candidates have to complete in early child, elementary, and special education fields for certification. So the good thing is we can go ahead, get them in place for in-service teachers to add the endorsement per the the change in the statute, and we can start collecting some data on these two particular assessments. So more in the coming months about that and the implementation of a certification exam in reading. But I did at least want to give you a heads up what we're planning to do in October with those two exams. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And if you've got any questions for me before I turn things back over to Jackie, ask away.
Mary, what does regenerated mean in this context?
That's a good question. So ETS routinely reviews the content of their assessments. If those change and when they make changes to an assessment, if it falls below a certain threshold, they don't consider that a regeneration. But when they convene basically a panel to look at the content of an exam, they may do this when there are changes in national standards around a subject field, or just to ensure that what they're doing aligns with practice in the field. So a regenerated assessment essentially is a new exam. It may cover the same content and standards or some of the same standards as the current assessment, but it is a new test. And that's why you will see it has a different cut score than the current exam as well. So just think of it as being as a major overhaul to an assessment.
Thank you.
Sure. One more quick announcement. Nick Bellick, who many of you have met either through in person or virtually, has been our client representative with ETS for a number of years. He is actually leaving ETS later this month. So Jason Dietrich, who was kind of my counterpart in the state of Nevada, and has been working with ETS for a couple of years, will be our new rep, at least on an interim basis, maybe longer. But we will certainly work out an opportunity for you to meet our new folks at ETS. All right.
Awesome.
Jackie?
Thanks, Mary. And just to piggyback on a little bit of what Mary was talking about, as you know, those literacy changes are coming. The literacy competencies have been published. So information regarding on implementation of those competencies into your program will be coming really soon. So keep your eyes out for that. We're really excited to work with you on that process and get it moving as we move forward.
Hello, friends. Just to give you a heads up, we are happy to announce that the SPED pre-K standards, that process is moving forward. We asked for submissions for recommendations of faculty who would be willing to work on that committee. So once again, we're looking at those SPED pre-K early standards. And so we are happy to report that we are forming that group, and we are hopeful to begin our work on that either later on this month or at the beginning of September, and more updates on that to come.
Absolutely. We wanted to give you all a reminder with regards to ETS. I know there's been some challenges with getting those score reports. So we just wanted to remind you, please make sure that your candidates know how to add those recipients. It's in a little bit of a different place than it used to be. We did send screenshots out, I think over the summer, but feel free to let us know if you want to see exactly how that looks. We'd be happy to share those again, but make sure that your candidates are adding not only your school, but also the state as a recipient to alleviate any challenges as we move forward. Because if they're out of state or howsoever, if we don't get those reports, they will have to pay a fee for them to be sent to us for their official records.
Jackie, can I say something related to that?
Sure, please.
I've had some pretty lengthy conversations with ETS about this issue. Although their website regeneration, I think, is an improvement over the previous version. This change in the registration process has caused a lot of heartburn for us. for some of your institutions. This is not just a South Carolina issue. We're hearing it from other states as well. I think y'all know me well enough to know that I can be a fine squeaky wheel when I need to be. And so if you have candidates that are impacted by this, that you're not getting their scores and you need their scores, I don't mind advocating for them with ETS, because it bothers me that some of them have had to pay an additional fee, when this really comes down to an issue with the change in that registration process. So again, please reach out, let us know when you have a concern, any kind of concern with the testing process, registration, anything that happens. Sometimes we're seeing, we hear issues with a candidate as they log in to take an exam and the proctoring of that exam. So again, we are glad to advocate on your behalf, their behalf, or refer something to ETS for them to research and to respond to that candidate or to you. So again, we're glad to do it. That's what we're here for. And if there are other things that you come across related to the assessments, please let us know. Because again, you hear from your candidates directly on a daily basis. And so we don't necessarily hear from them until we don't get a score. So again, pass that news along to us and we'll certainly work with you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mary. We also wanted to let you know the annual call for PRC applications have gone on for a professional review committee. So those have been sent out to deans and directors for recommendations. If you all have any interest, please let your deans or directors of teacher education know and fill out that application. Terms for the PRC are for 3 years, and they'll begin in January, folks that will be appointed by the state board this year. So we look forward to having y'all serve in that. It's a really wonderful opportunity to serve as the PRC. And Dr. McLeese actually served on the PRC previously, so I don't know if you have anything to add, Jessica, about that experience.
PRC is a lovely learning experience. I did not know how much I did not know until I joined that committee and was taught by some very lovely people who helped show me the way. But it's a great group of people. Everyone pitches in. Fantastic service opportunity if you are interested.
Awesome. And our PRC, if y'all don't know, is the committee that really makes recommendations to our state board moving forward. We do a lot of work with Ed Prep folks, so we're really excited to be offering that opportunity again. So thanks so much for that. And I guess we do have, I think, some members of our Standards and Learning team online with us. If y'all want to introduce yourselves, we are updating those ELA standards. Jessica, did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure, as I'm sure you guys know, the ELA standards were updated. And so this is across the board in our schools, and they go into full effect this year. And so we wanted to make sure that our great colleagues here in this awesome building who are working with the ELA standards and the implementation of those standards had an opportunity to kind of introduce themselves to you and kind of let you know about resources. And so you will notice 2 fabulous women on this call. So we've got Mandy and we also have Brenna. And so I'm going to turn it over to you 2 ladies so y'all can introduce yourselves here and kind of talk about any resources you have. And if we would like to, we could schedule a one-off call to perhaps kind of go into this in more detail if you would find that valuable. So Brenna, Mandy, I'll turn over to you guys.
Okay.
All right.
Well, good. Oh, you
Go
want to
ahead,
go,
Brenna,
Mandy?
and then I'll follow you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. We are so thankful to be invited and to hear what all is going in higher education, and we value what you do so much and want to partner with you as best as we can with the new ELA standards. So my name is Brenna McCormick, and I'm the middle/secondary education associate for ELA standards. And we are cranking out some resources and just want to know what's going to be most beneficial for you all to support your teacher candidates as they prepare to go out into the field. So thank you for having us.
Right, and I'm Mandy Hawker, and I support elementary ELA standards at our State Department. Um, you may be aware, but the ELA standards for elementary level shifted significantly in light of the science of reading, and that body of research has informed an entire strand of our standards for ELA. We know that as a state, it takes the effort of higher ed and in-service teachers to truly understand that content area and implement those standards. And I would love to be here to support you all as you roll that out to the students that you serve. The strand is called the Foundations of Literacy. We have lots of resources, webinars, videos that I can share to help you support your students. But anything that we can do to support you, ELA standards wise in general, we are excited to partner. Now, we also have another team member from our assessment and standards team with us this morning. Her name is Casey Prince Harvey, and I'll let her introduce herself and kind of share her role in supporting ELA.
Yes, thank you, Mandy. Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Prince Harvey. My title is a little bit funky. It is Humanities Education Associate. So I really support all of our content areas, K-12, on their cyclical review of their standards. But I spend the majority of my time with the ELA team, particularly working with our secondary ELA standards, since that is my background. I was a high school English teacher. So I do a lot of support at that level, and then work with these lovely ladies on anything that we can do to provide clarity and support as your teacher candidates go out and prepare to work with these new standards. So thank you for letting me join you today.
And everyone, I want to kind of add the importance here of sharing with your, not just your faculty that prepare candidates in these fields, but also with your faculty across the campus, who may be in the English department or teaching courses in the gen ed curriculum that apply here. These ladies are valuable resources to them as well. So I would encourage you, and if you want us to facilitate opportunities for them to work with your folks, I'm well voluntold, but now I'm not. They've already offered to do this, so we're very grateful for their support. So,
and we do actually have a few dates that they have kind of carved out for professional development opportunities. So if you all do have any interest in that, please let us know so that we can go ahead and help facilitate that for you. We have talked about maybe adding it on to the end of next month's of office hours, or we have some separate dates as well that may work better for you all, that they are available and able to help you with this as we move forward. So please, we will send this in our follow-up message. Please let us know if you're interested, and we'll send those times to you to let you know if there's if you can let us know what your preference is. If you're interested in being a part of that, we would really like to help facilitate that for your candidates and for your institutions. And thank you, ladies, so much for being here. We really do appreciate that. I love it when we can all work together for the greater good. It's just so great to see, and I'm so happy that to know that so many of our folks will probably be interested in that opportunity.
and now we can run into them in the building.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all the information that we have. If y'all have any questions, as always, please feel free to stay on or shoot it through chat, and we'd be happy to answer any additional questions. But otherwise, thanks so much for spending some of your time with us. I know it's a very busy time where y'all are, so we appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful year. Thanks so much.
And a plug for Cape Con. If y'all will be in DC for Cape Con, Jackie and I will be there. So we hope to run into you.